This month's Soul Matters theme is cultivating compassion. Compassion, by its various names, is really at the heart of every religious tradition, whether it's the call to treat others as we would wish to be treated, to love our neighbors as ourselves, to cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings. The Buddha, the Jewish prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, all taught that compassion brings us closer to a sacred sense of connection with all life, whether we call that nirvana or God or wholeness. So in these religious terms, compassion is not just an emotion, a feeling, it is a practice, something to be cultivated, engaged with, not just felt. It's a commitment to action. It's that commitment to action that separates compassion from those other emotional responses we have to suffering, like empathy or sympathy and pity. Jan Dimo, a Buddhist nun who's we heard Joan read part of her words. She talks about compassion as a two-step practice. First, yes, we have to witness the suffering we see and feel what we feel. But we can take that next step of imagining the people free from suffering, free from pain, and what that might look like. And she used the analogy of a medical staff in an emergency room. Everyone who comes in, she says, is suffering. And in order to do their jobs, the medical staff must not only acknowledge the suffering they encounter, but trust that they can do something to alleviate pain. Doesn't mean they fix it, but alleviate it. That they have skills and tools and knowledge and medicines to offer. And that knowing they have these gifts, they can envision that person not suffering. They can envision healing. And thus, they can offer hope. When we practice compassion, when we keep the wish, the intention, the prayer for people to be free from suffering and pain in the forefront of our minds, says Gentimo, we surface other qualities like patience and generosity. And we nurture our own mental and spiritual health as well, because we are less likely to fall victim to hopelessness and despair. When we practice thinking compassionately, not just feeling, but thinking compassionately, it moves us toward acting compassionately. And it's through compassion that we connect our humanity one to another. And this matters because if we just stay in our emotional responses to the suffering we are witnessing, especially on the scale we are seeing now, we risk becoming overwhelmed, paralyzed, and even apathetic. Because what can we do to stop all the terrible things that are happening? Even at the best of times, we can't stop terminal illnesses or fatal accidents or wars or natural disasters. And these are not the best of times. We can't stop suffering because it's part of the human condition. But if we practice compassion, if we remember that we have gifts and tools and knowledge and the ability to be present to people, that we can use them to help one another lessen suffering and pain, and then we can imagine a path forward rather than getting mired in hopelessness and despair. So last winter, we did a ritual based on a blog post by the folk singer Carrie Newcomer. And she observed that a stone that added to a bucket of water that causes the water to overflow did not cause that overflow by itself. It was all the previous stones placed in the bucket first that contributed to the overflow. A reminder that it is never one act that causes people to change their hearts and minds, but the dedicated accumulation of small acts that finally push things toward change. A reminder, again, that while the moral arc of the universe is long, it will only bend toward justice and compassion if we keep placing our hands and our hearts and our feet on it. In a more recent blog post, Carrie wrote, "These times are troubled and uncertain. And yes, I will stay open and learn people's nuanced stories that may include their own great suffering and remember the information sources they will use. I will maintain a sense of compassion and belief in the best we can all be. But in a time when there is so much suffering and so much at stake, I am complicit if I stay silent about it all. I can acknowledge what I fear. I can name that to which I do not consent, but I can also claim what I love and what I do support." John Paul Lederach, Professor Emeritus, author, and expert in nonviolent conflict transformation, assures us that it doesn't take 100% of the people to create positive change. What we need is the power of our own individual, daily, loving acts, and to stay connected in nodes, I love this, in nodes of communities of care. What we need is here, within us, and between us. We cannot do everything, but we have great power in how we choose to live our daily lives. We give according to our abilities, situations, and our gifts. We take courage in knowing that there are others with gifts we cannot provide. We don't have to do it all, only our part. We don't have to do it alone, and we are not alone. Yes, there are times that bring up deep fear and anxiety, but we do not have to be that fear. We can be the love that overcomes fear. We can be the love that turns the world around and points the way. So her daily practice of compassion is to ask herself 3 questions. What do I love? What is mine to do? And who will go with me? So I'd like to pause for a moment and ask you to consider those 3 questions for yourself. What do you love? What is yours to do? And who will go with you? What do you love? What is yours to do? And who will go with you? And maybe you have answers to those questions, and maybe you don't. If I had to answer them, I would say, it is mine to serve this community that has called me, and grounded in Unitarian and Universalism faith. What do I love? I love all of you. I love my family. I love this world in all its beauty. I love the seasons. And who will go with me? I'm counting on you guys. If you would like to come up silently or to share with us 1 or 2 or 3 of those answers, I invite you to do so and add your stone to our bucket of water.
What I love is all of my communities growing. What I feel called to do is to bring new people into those communities, whether it's this church or the LGBT social groups, but to always be bringing people in.
I love my family. I long to bring love and hope and healing to the LGBTQIA+ community.
I love stories, and I can still listen very deeply, and my community and my family will come with me.
I love the human connection.
I love music, coffee, and all the wonderful people around me.
I love my cat and my family.
In honor of my family, in particular my sister Helen, and in memory of my friends who have passed on.
One of the things I love is social justice. One of the things I'm going to do is write postcards at the Java Room today with Denali. And who will go with me? Well, as many as will.
Hi, I'm Matt. This is my first time here, and I was invited by Beth appropriately. And this has been a year of transformation for me, and I think I've been learning to love myself and all aspects of my identity. So I'm very happy to be here today and meet you all.
Welcome, and you're very brave to get up.
I love my family and friends and this community, which is a little of both.
Love family, friends, and making connections.
I love my friends, family, and the community, and I feel called to serve the LGBTQ+ community through the Welcoming Committee and PFLAG.
I love my family, my friends, and this community. What I give is myself and my faith in action every day. And I don't know where I'm going, but I hope somebody will be going with me if it gets, if it gets figured out. Ditto.
Well, this time we managed to get the water to spill over. So thank you all very much for all that you do and all that you love and all the ways that you connect and bring more hope and more joy and more peace and more love in a world that needs it, but is definitely worthy of it, even if it doesn't feel that way sometimes.